Good afternoon, folks. This is Burke Lyle speaking. 6:18, actually, kind of getting close to evening hours, dark where I'm recording from in Athens, Georgia. And I just want to talk about Jon Lester. Jon Lester retired yesterday. I don't think this video will be too long, 5 to 10 minutes, something like that. But Lester was 38 when he retired, but had a really good major league career, won exactly 200 games, which again, 200 games is pretty rare nowadays. Given that it used to be, in fact, there's not too many 200 win pitchers left, and you wonder how many we will see. I mean, Lester came in the league in 2006, retired in 2021, spent probably about half of it with the Red Sox all the way through the middle of 2014. Before then going to the Cubs, where it helped reverse the curse of the Billy Goat. He was a Cy Young finalist that year in Chicago, and was, I'd say, pretty steady, okay for the Cubs. Had some good years there, and then went to the Nationals, struggled there. Then went to the Cardinals, was okay for them down the stretch. Probably would have pitched in the playoffs if they would have beaten the Dodgers in that wild card game. But Lester, I mean, had quite a good career, I'd say. He started out 2006, 22 years old. Actually had cancer, came back in 2007, pitched on that World Series winning Red Sox team, threw a no-hitter in 2008. Pitched good baseball for a lot of good Red Sox teams. Number one starter in 2013. When they won the World Series that year as well. I think he pitched the clincher, matter of fact, and then spent a little time in Oakland. That A's team was really good, looked really good for about a half, and then kind of struggled, barely made it to the playoffs, lost to the Royals, didn't really, and then the A's were completely different by the time they made it to the playoffs again in 2018, and then knowing the A's in their cycle went to the Cubs, which again, the Cubs have not won the World Series in 107 years. When he started playing for the Cubs in 2015, had 2 seasons for the Cubs before winning that World Series. Actually came out of the bullpen in Game 7, in relief of Kyle Hendricks, by the way, and then did make it to the All-Star game in 2018, and then his career was never really the same there on afterwards, but did manage to win 200 games in his career, 200 wins, 201-17, a fairly good record. In fact, 162 game average, as according to Baseball Reference. 15-9, 3.66 ERA. That was his career, 3.66. About a complete game per year, which again, 15 in his career. I mean, there's a stretch where he's throwing 2 complete games a year, right around 3. That was his career. Struck out almost 2,500 batters, pretty good, and a little less than a strikeout per inning. That was his careers, and if you go through the leaderboard, as a 5-time All-Star throughout the 2010s. Closest to winning the Cy Young Award, 2016, came in second place that year. In fact, if you look at the voting, the Cy Young voting, he finished behind Max Scherzer, who was actually almost unanimous that year. Scherzer, again, one of the great pitchers in baseball history, actually finished just ahead of his teammate Kyle Hendricks. And again, you look at the award share, I guess it's approximately somewhere around 200 points, a little bit more. Max Scherzer ended up getting 91% of the share. Not quite unanimous, but almost. I mean, when you have all the first place votes, Lester had 1 first place vote, finished just ahead of him. By the way, that year, Clayton Kershaw would have stayed completely healthy that year. I bet Kershaw would have won the Cy Young Award that year, but you also had Madison Bumgarner as well in contention. Sadly, Jose Fernandez in his final major league season before passing away was in that list as well, and just various pitchers around the league that year in Cy Young voting that year. So that's what happened there. In 2016, almost won a Cy Young. Actually, the 2016 NLCS MVP seemed to win a fair amount of games. Just a good, solid pitcher. In fact, according to his Hall of Fame statistics, according to Black Ink, average Hall of Famer 8, 140. He's an 8 gray ink average Hall of Famer, 185. He is a 148, so maybe just below that threshold. Hall of Fame monitor, likely Hall of Famer, 100 is there. Hall of Fame standards, average Hall of Famer. Pitching standards, 50. His is 40. Starting pitcher Jaws ranked 149th all time. His career WAR is 44, well below the average of a Hall of Famer, also below his peak WAR as well in a fair amount of categories. So pitchers you compare him to, Doc Gooden, again, David Cohn, Tim Hudson, Justin Verlander, Jimmy Keeg, Zach Greinke, Cole Hamels. Again, good list of pitchers by similarity scores. I mean, you think about him compared to Tim Hudson, David Price, Gio Gonzalez, and those ages, Tim Hudson, Verlander in 33, 34, he had similar numbers. And granted, Verlander was I think one of the great pitchers in baseball history, certainly of this era. Jon Lester was a good, solid pitcher, and on 3 championship teams and other teams that you could say were World Series contenders. So his career by the age of 37, when he gets older and older, you compare him kind of to Tim Hudson as well. And again, drafted by the Red Sox 2002 in that amateur draft. I wonder, that was in the second round of that draft pick. Just looking through, I wonder what notable players there were on that list. Oh, Joey Votto was a second round pick that year as well. Kind of interesting to look at when you compare different players. I guess you have Lester, Brian McCann. How about that? And a good career with the Braves for quite a while. So it is kind of interesting to look at that list of who was on it and things like that. In his career, he made almost $200 million. I think if he would have played potentially this year, could have, or played a few more years, would have surpassed $200 million, so plenty of money. I don't know how wise he was with his money or not. I do not know. But that's what happened there. So now I want to look at his postseason game log as well for Jon Lester. So postseason game log. Pitched in that year's World Series. Pitched 5 2/3 innings in the Game 4 of the World Series. Actually, the Red Sox won the World Series that day on October 28, 2007, 14 years ago. The Red Sox won that World Series in Colorado. I mean, similar names: Jacoby Ellsbury, a rookie; Dustin Pedroia, Big Papi; Manny Ramirez; Mike Lowell; J.D. Drew, Veritek, all familiar names. As well, the Rockies: Troy Tulowitzki, Matt Holliday, Todd Helton, names like that. For sure, those were their pitchers that year, and that's what ended up happening. And then you go back to 2008, actually pitched 7 innings in the playoffs multiple times, so had a good series in the LDS. I think he pitched on short rest, or might have pitched on short rest in that series. Maybe there was a rainout or something, but again, had a good postseason there. 2013, his return to the playoffs again. Old school pitching, pitched 114, 7 2/3 innings against the Rays. ALCS threw 109 pitches. Game 1 of the World Series threw 7 2/3 deep into the game, threw 112 pitches. So, and then Game 5 of the World Series in St. Louis threw 7 2/3. I guess threw 91 pitches. Could have, you know what? This would never happen now. That was in 2013, which again wasn't that long ago. But again, could have finished the game realistically, given the way baseball was back then. But pitched deep playoff games, and then 2014 pitched 7 innings in that wild card game, a game that the A's ultimately lost through 111 pitches in the 2017 postseason. Again, through 6 innings and a start through 115 pitches, 7 1/3 against the Cubs. Actually, the only game they lost that series in pitching Game 1 of the NLCS. And he threw 107 pitches. So you go back to 2016, threw 8 innings against the Giants in that series. And Game 1 could have gone all the way, but you had Aroldis Chapman that year. And then the LCS was series MVP through 13 innings, allowing just 2 runs in that series. And then ultimately in the World Series, in each start, never got to 100 pitches, but still had a fairly good postseason that year. So again, Lester, and then after that, never really the same in the playoffs. But his career ERA in October believe it or not. 154 innings, 2.51 ERA. So again, a lot of good Octobers again. So different postseasons. Let's count. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pitched in 9 different playoffs. So a lot of experience in the starting pitching. Again, if you want to look at all-time postseason leaders, I mean, again, I'd have to look that up separately. But in terms of what he's accomplished in the playoffs, has to be ranked pretty high up there on that postseason list. So again, just a great career, decorated career. Does he make the Hall of Fame or not? Probably not. I mean, again, he's below average in so many of those categories. And again, if you say he's the 149th best starting pitcher of all time, this is according to Jaws and WAR and those metrics. I mean, you say Walter Johnson is the best starting pitcher ever, and let's what happened. And if you press Control X, let's go to Jon Lester, and they say he's at 153, kind of in the same category, just above, along with guys like Adam Wainwright, who I don't know, I guess is not a Hall of Fame pitcher, just ahead of guys like Jacob deGrom, David Price. It's interesting already on that list, and apparently how many Hall of Famers are there in this position? Well, it's interesting to see there, but and they have all these type of category things, and if you want to go to Jon Lester, he's fairly down on the list. So again, really good pitcher. I don't know if he's Hall of Famer, and just the way he threw, I don't think he was super dominant. I think he was very good, and that's the question. So that's Jon Lester there. I thought he had a really good career, accomplished a lot, especially in October on those teams. But if he's a Hall of Famer, I don't think so. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Jon Lester. I'm surprised I was able to talk 12 minutes, but that's just what I want to say on Lester. Lester retires.